Yo, what is up, everybody? It's Jskitt here, and today I'm going to be doing a live track production video. Now, I've already done a few of these already, so y'all who have been here before should already know how it's done. We're going to be doing something a little bit different here. I already have the track started, so I'm going to be walking through with you guys my live thought process when I'm making these tracks. We have a deep house track right here. I'm going to play it through to you guys to show you what I have so far.
If you like to go first, if you like to go first, then you can drive me home. Put your foot on the gas. I got no time to go slow. If you like to go fast, then I'm the one you should know. So put 100 on the dash, babe. I'll never let you cry. Don't let go, let go. Don't let go, let go. Don't let go, let go. Don't let go, let go.
Without wasting too much time previewing you guys stuff, I do have the drop kind of started. I have the intro and verse section sort of fleshed out. I still need a build up though, so we're going to be building that as we're making this track. We're going to open up some Splice here. I have to log in first though. Okay, so I'm going to look up some build ups. We're going to see how this sounds. And it's just like experimenting with different things.
So put 100 on the dash, babe. I'll never let you crash. If you like to go first.
Okay, so that's not really finished. I think there's potential there with that. So we're going to try and download this one as well.
Slow, if you like to go fast, then I'm the one you should know. So put 100 on the dash, babe. I'll never let you crash. If you like to go first.
I think I need to start to build up a little sooner. So we're going to go through and find something that'll work. I tell you, producing on camera is a completely different story. Even though I'm not live streaming to a specific audience, just the fact that I'm recording at the same time means I have to like try and perfect my delivery of what I'm trying to do while at the same time keeping my full integrity of producing the track as well. Sometimes you're going to get a shitty sound and you're not going to be happy. And then you're going to like spend hours going through a whole library of different sounds. And you're just going to find things that just don't work. And then 100 sounds later, you'll finally find something that works. That's how it usually works. Now, to finish this build up, we will need to have some form of filler at the end to transition into the drop so it sounds a little bit less abrupt. So what we are going to do is we are going to search on Splice for fills. Brain's not braining right now. I kind of want to pick something that's adjacent to the sounds that are already in the track. I don't want to use something that sounds completely different. Maybe something like this is going to work. Kind of works actually. I'm not going to worry too much about specifically mixing this because a lot of the time it sounds good before it's mixed. It's just the mix is kind of polishing everything up together. If it doesn't sound good without a mix, it's probably not going to sound good with a mix. Most of it is the sound selection that you use. So if you're using good source material to begin with, then you're probably in the right direction if you like the way it sounds before you start mixing it. Now, after you mix it, that's when it sounds really clean, right? That's kind of like my rule of thumb here. I just get this all fleshed out, and then I get into the mixing process, which is something I generally do on a different day. I like this build up, but I feel like it's still a little bit slow. It's not really energetic enough, but we can always fix that. And I'm thinking about maybe taking this intro part here and just starting here. I feel like this is way too long as well. A minute and 32 seconds for the drop just feels way too long. I might just completely cut out this intro section here and have the track begin right here. It's just fine right here. I know a lot of house tracks start off right away with the drums and the action. So I think it's fine if I take these first 8 bars out and just begin the track right. Whoops. If I just begin the track right here. Well, honestly, I could probably speed up the BPM of this track a little bit to make it a little more energetic. I mean, this is very slow. This is more like mid-tempo, kind of adjacent hybrid track. It's also a later time of the night as well for me at like 2 in the morning. So my brain is a little bit fried right now. And I'm not saying that I smoked any weed or anything. I'm just saying like I'm going a little off the rails here. But anyways, I work overnight, so I think if we start this right here, we delay this, double this. I'm trying to make it so it transitions every 8 bars to make the track sound a little more progressive instead of abruptly throwing everything in after 4 bars. That just doesn't make any sense. I don't want to like spoil the fun and introduce elements too soon into the track production. So maybe if I do something like this, so that it's constantly evolving. And so see, I have some ideas now. I can add a little bit of a break right here so that it builds up the suspense and that the listener of the track knows that something is expected, something is to be expected here. I just remove all the drum elements, remove the sidechain, have a little bit of a transition effect, and bam, we all Gucci. Throw this right here. That sounds awful in that context. And that's the other thing, is not every sound is going to fit in every part of the track. It works in the build up, but in a break during the middle of the drop, it doesn't necessarily work. So we're going to have to go into splice and we're going to have to find different sound that'll work better there. And it also adds some variation as well. So we're going to go through, set the search filter to 124 BPM, right? We're going to set that and we're going to find a sample that actually works. Okay, so multiple problems. This is not perfectly aligned with my grid. It's a little offbeat, so we got to fix that. I think the next step from here is to add a little bit of a delay effect on the vocal chop. Now, what we can do with that is go into our effects rack and, or actually probably just like a reverb swell or something, just to like create more of a space in the drop so it's not just dry and boring. So we can turn the wetness up like this and then create an automation clip with the effect so that it modulates in when I want it to. It's gonna help so that I have control over the track more. So yeah, we can kind of just like boom, boom. You know, see, that's kind of like what I'm going for here. More hypnotic. See how that just adds so much more character to the drop so that it's not just blank. Like, come on now, if you're just gonna have a plain bagel for a drop, you might as well just throw it away, you know? Like, who goes to the store to order a plain bagel? Just get some cream cheese or something to put on it so that it actually can be eaten. It's like, why would you go and have a slice of bread without putting anything on it? Let's think about it this way. Not having reverb swells in your drop is like having a plain bagel or having a plain slice of bread. It's not meant to be eaten by itself. It's going to be very dry. You would wish that there was more to it. If your drops are too generic, then they're still going to be like good. They're still going to sound good, but there's not going to be much character to it. It's going to sound like every other drop you've ever heard in that genre of music. So if you were to go and add some spices, add some seasonings, toppings, whatever to the bread, then you will have more character in your songs and people will generally want to consume them longer. So instead of having a plain piece of bread, why not add some peanut butter and jelly? Speaking of character, our bass sounds a little bit like a plain slice of bread. Not that bass, but our slap bass, even though there's 4 basses here, it still sounds a little bit plain. So how do you fix that? So now what you have to do is you have your basic bass line progression. Take it and figure out how to make it more groovy, right? Find different harmonies or different octaves, let's say. Now, something else, it is not a bad idea to add a little bit of reverb to your bass. Just go through the sound, envision in your mind what you want the sound to do. So like if you were going through and you were listening to this track, what would you want the bass to do? And then experiment with it and see if it actually translates into the DAW. If it does, that's like really good. If it doesn't, you just got to keep trying. You got to find different sounds and just keep at it until you find something that's like clicking. See, house is all about the groove. So you really want your bass to groove well to the beat. If your bass line is very generic, then your house track is not going to have much of a groove to it. All right, so we have our bass line built. Now we have to see how that sounds in the whole context of the track. Now again, you should definitely listen to the track while creating the bass line so that you know that it's going to fit. Now I kind of just did that in solo mode with only the bass line playing, and that's a huge risk because you don't know if it's going to work. Just because it sounds good doesn't mean it's going to work, but I kind of have confidence that it will. Now, honestly, I think having this duplicated would be fine, and just having the first part of the drop be the plain bass line might actually sound good, but it almost sounds like there's too much going on in the track at once when this is all playing. That transition is an absolute joke. Let me say that again. That filler right there is completely troll. And if I was taking this track more seriously, I mean, I am, but if I kept that fill in there, nobody would take this track seriously. If they listened to the track long enough to get to that point and they heard that shit, they would be turning that off. Like a synthwave filler, and I'm putting it in a house track. Like, what the fuck? I'm doing this on purpose because I want you guys to know that just because you put something in a track does not mean it has to be permanent. It could just be fleshing out ideas, and you put something in there, you open up the studio the next day and you realize, man, that does not sound the same as it did before. And that's fine. You can just take that out and put in a different sound, right? Obviously, this should have never even gone out of the splice library into this track in the first place. But you know what? I learned from my mistakes. I see that this doesn't work, so I'm not going to leave it in the track. I think if I did, I would be trolling pretty hard, and it would cause people to not take me as an artist seriously. If I was making this track as a joke, maybe I'd keep it in there for comical purposes, but a lot of people, they don't showcase this part of the production process. You only hear the finished result from them. So that's after the hours of hard work searching for the right sample. A house would be a better filter, I think. Now, when you're looking for something that will fit in your track, you want to really listen to the track around it. An important part of a song is making sure everything harmonizes together. And that's just listening through the rest of your track, listening to the instrumentation of the drums and the percussion and everything that's in it, and finding a filler that synergizes well with the rest of the sounds that you're using. So if you're just going through and dragging and dropping random samples, you're increasing the likelihood of something not sounding well together and not sounding well fleshed out. My best advice I can give is to find a good sample pack in the first place and use those sounds. Try something like this. A little bit more saturation. Honestly, I'm getting the impression that bass line is just a little cheesy. It might even be the drum. I'm gonna completely change the clap. I think maybe the drums are kind of cheeks. I think I need a better kick too, to be honest. The kick is like important. Honestly, that's another tip. The kick is really important in the track because that's like what everything is grooving to. That's what you're sidechaining everything to. See, and again, it's all about not giving up with what you're doing. Just because something sounds bad doesn't necessarily mean your idea is bad. It's just the translation from your mind to the DAW that's a little bit messed up. It doesn't exactly sound the way you want it to, but with hard work and determination and just searching for a little while longer, that's the difference between finding the right sound and continuing with sneezing again. All right, I didn't completely finish the track. I just wanted to record a small section, a small snippet of me producing a track just to show you guys how it was done. Right, I know this might not be very content fulfilling, how I act on camera, but I want everyone to get a perspective of what producing a track is actually like, thought process behind it, how I act on camera when doing it. That kind of does play an effect on how the track is produced because I'm trying to make it educational at the same time as producing it, so it's not the easiest in the world to multitask there, and that's something that I'm not necessarily good at, but it's just showing you how it's all fleshed together. Like, this is a step in the right direction for sure. When I come back again, I will show you the full track, but for now, this is just the start. It does take a lot of time. I have to edit the footage down and shit, so it's not going to be easy in the end process, but hopefully you guys learned something new with how the track production process goes. If you guys enjoy, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video or in the next song. Depends on what I drop first. But anyways, peace out, y'all.